Hi, everybody. My name is Paul Szwedo, and I'm a state lands forester with the Department of Forests, Parks, and Recreation and the Agency of Natural Resources with the state of Vermont. And I'm excited to be here with you guys today for the Vermont Career Connect and stoked to talk about forestry with you guys. So I'd like to start, I guess, by giving you a little bit of a background on my career path so far. That's me. I wasn't sure if I was going to be recording myself, and my wife said I had to do that so you guys could see my beautiful face. But that's me. So like I said, my name's Paul, and I work as a state lands forester in District 5, which encompasses the entire Northeast Kingdom of Vermont. Pretty much from Groton State Forest all the way up to Jay in the border of Canada. Our district is responsible for the management of 250,000 acres of forest land. 150,000 of that is state-owned, both state forest and wildlife management areas, and the other 100,000 we manage easements for public access. I started my career managing a hardwood sawmill right out of college. And I did that for 5 years before going back to school. And I earned my master's degree at the University of Maine in forestry, and my research was focused on silviculture. And after that, I worked as a research assistant and a forester for the U.S. Forest Service, and then came here to state lands about 3 years ago. So what does the Department of Forests, Parks, and Recreation do? The Department of Forest, Parks, and Rec, or FPR as we call it, is responsible for the conservation and management of Vermont's forest resources, the operation and maintenance of the state park system, and the promotion and support of outdoor recreation for Vermonters and our visitors. In addition, FPR is responsible for the acquisition, planning, coordination, and administration of all Agency of Natural Resources lands, and department employees are stationed throughout Vermont, including offices in Montpelier and 5 regional locations. So I thought a good place to start with this presentation today would be to talk about what is forestry. So according to the Society of American Foresters, which is our professional organization as foresters, forestry is the profession of embracing the science, art, and practice of creating, managing, using, and conserving forests and associated resources for human benefit and in a sustainable manner to meet desired goals, needs, and values. And I just note that the broad field of forestry consists of those biological, quantitative, managerial, and social sciences that are applied to forest management and conservation. And those can include specialized fields such as agroforestry and urban and community forestry. So, why is forestry important? Why do we practice forestry? So, managed forests help mitigate climate change. They improve air, soil, and water quality. They enhance wildlife habitat and provide valuable forest products that we use every day. This is a picture from the top of Owl's Head at Groton State Forest. I'm not sure if any of you guys have been there, but it's a pretty spectacular spot, especially in the fall, and would encourage you to take that hike if you guys ever get a chance. It's pretty beautiful. So I just wanted to touch a little bit on forests and forestry in Vermont. Vermont is almost 80% forested, and it's the 4th most forested state in our country. Our forest industry here provides Vermonters with over 10,000 jobs and contributes $1.4 billion annually to Vermont's economy. And this here is a picture of a timber harvest in Willoughby State Forest. My colleague, Scott Machinist and Emily Meacham were foresters in charge on this job. And you can see here, just a super view from a gap-based harvest. So I guess we'll get into what this whole Vermont Career Connect is all about. What does a forester do, and what do I do specifically as a state lands forester? First, before we get into it, I just wanted to say that a forester, in most cases, is not a logger. Although there certainly are exceptions, a forester and a logger are two very different jobs. So, at first here, we're going to talk about what a forester does. So, a forester uses quantitative and qualitative methods to manage forest land for a dynamic suite of ecosystem services. So what does that really mean? A classically trained forester has a degree from a Society of American Foresters accredited college or university, where we learn specialized skills on how to measure and interpret forest characteristics. Those characteristics help us inform how we will manage a specific piece of forest land. And these characteristics can include things like age class, whether all the trees are the same age or they're all different ages. So even versus uneven age management. Species composition, or silvics, what types of trees are in the forest and what they need to grow. Something called stocking, which is how much timber is on the parcel. Soil type, water features, just streams, ponds, vernal pools, wildlife habitat, rare, threatened, or endangered species. And these characteristics help us to determine whether or not to harvest timber, how much timber to harvest to achieve a desired result. Whether that's increasing growth on existing trees or promoting the establishment and the growth of brand new trees to enhance forest structure and species diversity, enhance wildlife habitat, and to protect soil and water quality. So what do I do specifically as a state lands forester? Certainly, we practice all of those things that all foresters practice. But as a state lands forester, we practice and encourage high quality stewardship of Vermont's environment by monitoring and maintaining the health, integrity, and diversity of important species, natural communities, and ecological processes. Managing forests for sustainable use, including providing and promoting opportunities for compatible recreation, and providing related information, education, and service. So what does a typical day look like for me? It's pretty variable, which is one of the things that makes my job super interesting. I would say 60% of my time I spend in the field, and 40% of the time I spend in the office. So with my field work, like I said, about a little more than half my time is spent conducting forest measurements or marking timber. This is just a photo of a log landing in Groton State Forest. Supervising forest road construction, and supervising timber harvesting. So the other 40% involves analyzing data that we have collected in the field, as well as GIS data, which stands for Geographic Information Systems. And these geographic information systems give us information on landscape features, soils, wildlife habitat, elevation, and really help us, help inform our prescription writing for timber harvests. Occasionally, we build truck bridges on forest roads. Participate in aerial surveys. This was a a gap-based harvest in Groton State Forest, where we put in 10-acre patch cuts, and we'll be regenerating new trees in these patches, and then be going back to harvest some of this other timber that hasn't been cut yet to create a diversity of age classes within that stand. And sometimes we also participate in prescribed burns. This is almost exclusively done on fish and wildlife land to promote shrubland and grassland for species that require that type of habitat. So I wanted to finish up, I kind of mentioned what a forester does. So what does a logger do, and what makes a logger different from a forester? So a logger harvests timber for various forest products markets. That would be like saw timber, which eventually gets turned into lumber, which could either be for building material or for cabinet stock or furniture building, or pulpwood, which is wood chips for biomass, for energy, or paper. They also create access and build forest roads and trails. And they use different types of harvest methods and harvest systems to harvest timber. So there are several types of harvest methods. One is a cut-to-length system, which the logger in which the logger is harvesting timber and cutting it to product length, right in the woods, basically. And then there's a tree length harvest, which the logger will cut the top off of the tree and then skid the tree or forward the tree length to the landing for further processing, or whole tree, where the logger will cut the whole tree with the top and everything, skid it to the landing, and then process it from there. So I thought it would be pretty cool to look at a couple of these different systems. So this is a cut-to-length harvester. This one is made by Ponce. It's a Finnish company. They run all 5-cylinder Mercedes diesels in their forest equipment, and they exclusively make forest equipment. So this machine cuts the tree, delimbs it, and then cuts it to length, basically right on site, and then stages the wood for this next piece of equipment, which is a forwarder. And unlike a skidder, the forwarder has these bunks, and pulls out this already processed roundwood on bunks, and these high flotation tires and not skidding the wood directly on the ground, helps keep the quality of the timber up and reduces the impact of soil erosion and rutting and things of that nature. This is a track feller buncher. This is used either for tree length or whole tree harvesting. It gets through the woods with these tracks, has this cutter head, can cut the tree and top it if need be, but beyond that, it's not cutting anything to length. And generally behind a feller buncher comes a skidder. You can see this is a grapple skidder. Has this big grapple on the back, and that's what pulls the wood out of the woods. And then after it's processed, it gets trucked to the local mill. In a lot of cases, a lot of our round was going to Maine and up to Canada. So where can I get more information? I included a few of these links, and I'm sure we can share these hyperlinks with you guys if you're interested. The Forest Service website and our department website are both great resources. The eForester is the Society of American Foresters webpage, and then our Vermont Woods in Northern Woodlands was a pretty cool nonprofit. Looks at a lot of a lot of goings on in New England, and you can always get in touch with me via email or text or however, and we can provide that information at the end of this presentation. So I wanted to leave you with a quote from Gifford Pinchot, who was the first forester in the United States, and I think it sums up, how I feel about my career choice, and it puts a nice bow on it at the end. So he said, while the life of the forester in the field is often rough, many times exceedingly hard, and always without most of the comforts of life, it is to those of us who have been following it the most delightful occupations. In few other professions can a person lead so useful a life. So I really appreciate you guys' time and attention today, and if you ever have any questions, feel free to get in touch. Thanks a lot, and good luck.